Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Nathan.
And welcome to
the Access the Magic podcast. Thank you so much for joining us for episode number 5 of our podcast. We're so happy you're tuning in with us today.
In today's episode, we are continuing with part 3 of a 4-part series exploring accessibility across all 4 parks at Walt Disney World.
So in our last 2 episodes, we touched on EPCOT and Disney's Hollywood Studios. And in today's episode, we are talking all about the Magic Kingdom.
We will be breaking down every attraction, every dining experience, and shop to help you navigate the park and access the magic in a way that works for you.
But as always here at the Access the Magic podcast, let us start off with some Disney news.
Oh my God, the first one I am so excited about.
Disney news, everyone.
I can't wait.
Tell us, Emily, what are you excited about?
Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party dates have been announced for 2026. What a great time to be alive. So the party will run from August 7th through to October 31st.
Wow.
So it is starting earlier this year than it did last year, although in previous years it has started in early August. So
It's true, but it is the party's earliest ever start date, August 7th. But yeah, 2 years ago it did start on the 9th, so.
Yeah. But it's exciting.
It
So
is.
the ticket price is very per date and will be available for purchase starting on May 5th, which we are currently filming this. It is
May
1st.
1st. You'll see this on May 4th. So
Happy Star Wars Day,
hey,
everyone.
Happy Star Wars Day. It's also our cat's birthday, but
Yeah,
that's not
that's
Disney's news. So May 5th is a Tuesday. That is when resort guests can purchase tickets
And then
for
May
everyone
12th
else,
for everybody else. Yeah.
aka me. So I'll be on May 12th to
You
book our
say
tickets.
that. We actually do have a resort
Oh my
reservation.
gosh, I forgot. Okay, we're not used to that. So May 5th, we're booking our tickets.
We attended the Halloween party for the first time last year, and it was our favorite party that we attended at Disney World. We've been to the Halloween party and to the Christmas party at Magic Kingdom and Jollywood Nights, and it is by far our favorite party out of those 3.
You're obsessed with Not So Scary.
Was it not your favorite?
It was, but you've been talking about it nonstop.
I just loved it. Maybe also because it was our first party. There was just something exciting. But the trick-or-treating was so fun.
Oh, that was incredible. That was incredible.
Anyways, tickets range from $119 to $229, so it's a pretty significant difference. I think typically weekends tend to be more expensive.
Yeah, and
closer to Halloween.
Yeah. Don't forget, if you're an AP annual pass holder, you get a big old $10 off. So I think maybe DVC members too. So
I'll take those Disney discounts. The discounts. Disney discounts are few and far between these days, so I will take whatever I can get.
Other Diz news is that, VI Pass Holder Days is coming up. Maybe.
We talked about that in our last episode.
I know we did, but I think it's maybe starting now, May 1st, sometime in May.
We won't be there.
And there's extra discounts, so take advantage of those if you're there over the summer.
But back to the Halloween party, new in 2026, there is a masquerade with Stitch at Tomorrowland's Rocket Tower Plaza stage, featuring Stitch, Lilo, and Angel. So this is a dance party?
It's a dance party.
Cute. That
with
would be fun.
Stitch. That's so fun.
And then you've put a quote here in quotations. What's
Essentially,
this from?
what the quote means, this is because Disney has teased that there will be some villains roaming the park during the party.
Ooh, how exciting.
We don't have a lot of details, but the quote says, for even more creepy character fun, keep your eyes peeled because you may see new and returning Disney villains appear as you creep by through the streets, which is one of our favorite parts of the party was all of the character interactions and the roaming characters.
But you know what I just thought about, though, is how fun the Halloween party is going to be when Villains Land is open.
Ooh.
Okay.
Totally.
Great.
But there's a lot of things returning to the Halloween parties. You're going to get your fireworks. You're going to see your Headless Horseman. You're going to see trick-or-treating. You're going to see the castle shows. You're going to,
I would say that if you want to do a party at Disney World in 2026 and you're deciding between Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, A Very Merry Christmas party, and Jollywood Nights, that Not So Scary is... I think you get the best value for your money in terms of fun, interesting things to do. I think during the Christmas party at Magic Kingdom, and now we're getting onto a tangent, maybe we'll do a whole episode about the parties, but the Christmas party, I felt like there wasn't enough exciting stuff going on Like, the parade is fun, but it's not as good as the Halloween parade. Same with the fireworks show. And then Jollywood Nights, I felt, though, had a lot of extra stuff happening.
Yeah, Jollywood Nights is a banger.
So
I think it's underrated.
Yeah, I would do Jollywood Nights again over Very Merry Christmas
Drama.
Party.
Anyway, we love the Halloween party. It's so great, and we're so excited that we can get our tickets.
Yeah, and we will be there this year. And we will also be headed to the EPCOT International Food and Wine Festival. The 2026 dates and details have officially been released.
Tell us about it.
Well, the festival this year will be held from August 27th to November 21st. It has been an EPCOT staple since 1996.
Wow, that's as old as me.
As old
You're
as you.
welcome.
I can say I'm older than the Food and Wine Festival. We'll bring back both brand new dishes and old favorites for us to enjoy.
And
if they don't have my teriyaki chicken bun.
well, I'm sure they will. I feel like that's a staple.
Well, it's a staple for Emily.
Well, I guess that's true.
I've never heard anyone else talk about it, but if you watched any of our September Disney World vlogs, which we are still putting out right now, so if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, it will be linked down below. If you are listening to this podcast, it will be in the show notes. But in September, while we were at Food and Wine, I would not shut up about the teriyaki chicken bun.
Truth.
It was so good.
It is great. But back to Food and Wine in 2026, we have a couple of returning favorites. Emile's Fromage Montage, which is the cheese thing where you get cheese dishes and you get your little stamp and your passport, and then at the end you get a prize. I think
it's
last
a
year it was
scavenger hunt, but you eat cheese.
Yeah.
So
but you're not
good
looking
for those
for
who are
things.
lactose intolerant.
You're just eating.
Yeah.
Speaking of scavenger
Last year
hunts,
it was
though,
a little cup, I think, right?
yeah, but I thought it had like
you got a dessert,
a cheesecake in it or something.
Yeah, something like
Didn't
that.
it? I think it was good. And our favorite, Remy's Ratatouille Hide and Squeak scavenger hunt.
My favorite scavenger hunt at Epcot,
which is great. The last 2 years have actually been fun prizes. They're
We've
usually
done it.
food
every
type
year.
items like a kitchen, like a bowl or a. Last year
I
was
just
a
love it
bento
so
box, and I'm
much.
using quotation marks. It was not a bento box. It was just a container.
But I just love that scavenger hunt. I think
so fun.
that
It's so
scavenger
cute.
hunt is so fun, and I think it's such a nice way to do something as you're sort of wandering around World Showcase and exploring Epcot. And I find that Epcot days tend to be a lot more. There's a lot more that you're doing in between rides. Most of the rides are sort of concentrated at the front of the park. So by the time you get into World Showcase, there are only 3 rides in World Showcase. So you have time in between to be doing other stuff. And I think it's really nice to eat, but also to do things like the scavenger hunts. And looking for those little Remy's. So cute.
He's so cute.
Yep.
All right, moving on to some exciting news as well. We are starting to see the rock and roller coaster guitar repainting job as the scaffolding has been coming down slowly and surely as we roll on to May 26th, which is when the ride is reopening.
Wild. Such a quick turnaround.
I know.
So the guitar's new paint job is not exactly the same as how it was depicted in the concept art, but
it looks really good.
It's the same bright color scheme and stars and things. So some people were being like really particular and they're like, well, it's not exact. And I'm like, guys, it's called concept art because it's a concept. The upside down car has also been repainted. We just saw that. So we just came back from a trip to Disney World, y'all. So exciting. It was the best. We vlogged it all. So stay tuned. Those will be coming out. But in the meantime, if you want to check out some little clips and photos from our trip, we've been posting those all over our social media. You can follow us at access.the.magic on TikTok and Instagram. And I also have been recently posting some of our stuff on Threads.
Threads?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know how to use it, really. I haven't quite figured it out.
I think if you're posting, you're using.
I'm trying.
There you go.
So we got to see the upside down car with its new paint job, which is cute.
It looked great.
Yeah.
I love the colors. In other slightly less exciting news, the building is gray now instead of
What was it, like
beige,
tan? Yeah.
as well as the archway. So we're just seeing all the new paint job, which is exciting.
I guess the gray will help make those bright colors pop.
Exactly. And we also have our full list of songs. Woohoo. So there are 5 songs, Electric Mayhem songs, and they are Song 2, which is the name of a song.
By Blur.
Born to be Wild. Love Roller Coaster, Rock, rock, till you drop, and Walking on Sunshine. We have people like Jennifer Hudson and Kelly Clarkson on those songs.
Awesome.
So you know the soundtrack's going to be bopping.
It's going to be great. Speaking of Hollywood studios, the animation Courtyard has partially opened as walls have come down. So most of the Courtyard is still blocked from guests, but there's now significantly more space next to the theater for the Little Mermaid show. And the Sorcerer Mickey hat has been installed. We saw it.
Yes.
We happened to be at Hollywood Studios the first day that it was visible. And of course, we took an obnoxious number of photos and videos. I will say, the Sorcerer Mickey hat is not as cute as it was when it was MGM. I know a lot of people are excited about it being back in that park. I'm excited about it being back in that park. We were so excited to see it. It does kind of look like it was made out of construction paper. I've seen other people say that it looks like an AI depiction of like, if they were like, make a Sorcerer Mickey hat. But what it is supposed to look like is the actual animation studio facade, which I think is in California. Which has a hat that looks like that. And so that's what they were trying to replicate. So I understand that people are disappointed that it doesn't look similar to the old one, but it's also not supposed to. So
I think it looks great as a Sorcerer Mickey fan. I also saw yesterday on my Disney's places that the Sorcerer Mickey hat is going to light up.
Oh, that changes things.
So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. So anyway, we're excited to see this Courtyard reopen again at the end of May. Lots opening at the end of May at Hollywood Studios. There's also this really cool billboard, like this retro billboard with this retro depiction of Mickey Mouse on it. It looks super cute. I think that whole area is going to be super fun and exciting. I love new things.
Cute. Back over at Magic Kingdom, the cranes are now gone from Cinderella Castle. So this leaves us wondering if repainting is done. The cranes are parked in the castle's drained moat, but as of Monday, today is Friday, have been gone. The moat is still drained, so I don't know if they're planning on doing anything else, but basically the cranes, even if they weren't up painting in the castle for the last few weeks, have been sort of down but parked there. We saw them while we were there, but they weren't, actively painting anything. So we'll see. I don't know what that means in terms of if it's finished. I don't think they've officially said that it's complete yet. So who knows?
We'll see, but the castle looks gorge. Back at Hollywood Studios, wow, we're really popping over town.
Park hopping.
Park hopping back to Hollywood Studios. Vacation Fun has closed for a multi-month refurbishment. Its last day of operation was April 28th. It doesn't have a reopening timeline. It just says later this year. We also don't know what the refurbishment is, so I don't know.
Interesting.
We'll see.
And Disney has announced previews for 2 major ride reopenings. So cast member previews are opening for Soarin' Across America and Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets. So on May 6th, eligible cast members will be able to register for preview spots. While we were in Disney World, we saw cast members doing previews for Big Thunder Mountain.
Yes.
So that was exciting. And we kept sort of like, they would walk past us and we'd be like, we could be a cast member, right? You'll let us on. For Rock and Roller Coaster, Disney said that there will be previews for cast members, eligible DVC members, and annual pass holders, but hasn't confirmed when those previews for DVC members and annual pass holders will be available. So we'll keep you posted if we hear anything else. But that's exciting.
And that's it for Diz News this episode. So we are moving on to our main topic, which is accessibility at the Magic Kingdom.
Woohoo! In honor, I wore my Haunted Mansion shirt.
And I just have on my Many Characters shirt.
But we do both have Magic Kingdom mugs.
Starbucks mugs.
So cute.
So cute.
All right, Magic Kingdom. So it was the first park at Disney World to open, the first of the Florida project. Opened on October 1st, 1971.
Ooh, and that's older than me.
That is older than you. It's older than me as well. Yeah. And it is modeled after Disneyland. The park icon is, of course, the iconic Cinderella castle, which was inspired by the fairy tale castle featured in the 1950 animated film.
Mm-hmm. In 2024, the park hosted 17.83 million visitors, making it the most visited theme park in the world for the 18th consecutive year, and the most visited theme park in North America for at least the past 24 years.
Wild. Yeah, incredible.
The park is divided into 6 themed lands, and the center of the park in front of Cinderella Castle is designed like a wheel with a hub and spoke design. So there are pathways that lead out from that central hub to each of the 6 lands. And the 6 lands are Main Street, USA, Adventureland, Frontierland, Liberty Square, Fantasyland, and Tomorrowland.
Now we are going to break down each land and discuss our thoughts and opinions about their accessibility. So, as always, we will do a deep dive into layout, navigation, terrain, sun exposure, crowd flow, companion restrooms, quiet spaces, shopping, food, and of course, every single attraction. We are going to go into as much detail as we can without this being too overwhelming. So bear with us. And we are going to start off with Main Street, USA.
All right, so for layout and navigation, it's pretty much a straight path from the entrance to the castle. Once you go under that railroad station, you'll see the castle right in front of you, and you have that street, Main Street even, leading right up to the castle. The castle is a great wayfinder. You always know where you are. Also, the railroad station on the other side. Those are 2 great points of visual interest. You might know this, you might not, that Main Street slopes up very, very slightly towards the castle to make the castle look bigger when you're walking into the park, but also so that at the end of the night and you're walking out of the park, you're on a very slight downward slope, so it makes it feel nice and easy. If you stand, fun fact, on Center Street, which is just one of the little streets off to the right on Main Street, USA, you can actually, once you look back onto Main Street, see that very little slope if you're eager to check that out. It's a fun little fact. There are a lot of sidewalks to get into the shops along Main Street, so look out for curb cuts if you're in a mobility device or using a stroller. It's very busy.
All right, terrain. For me as a wheelchair user, Main Street, USA is the bane of my existence. Now, don't get me wrong, I love it. I think it is such a beautiful area of Walt Disney World in general. It's a beautiful area of the park. It's the part where you really feel like, oh, I'm at Disney when you're on Main Street, USA. But the trolley tracks are really hard if you are a wheelchair user. I imagine it's similar if you have a walker or a stroller, anything with small wheels. ECVs are probably okay because they have bigger wheels. But the trolley tracks are like
couple inches,
an inch and a half to 2 inches wide, and so my wheels just get caught in them all the time. We've now learned some tricks on how to make that better, so we can't cross them at an angle. We have to go perpendicular and cross them straight in order to avoid my wheels getting caught. And because of the tracks on the road, our pathway that we can go without tracks is quite narrow, so it just makes our pathway a little bit difficult. It's not unmanageable, but the first couple times that we went, it was a learning curve for sure.
100%.
Otherwise, the pavement is totally flat. No cobblestone or bumpy terrain or anything like that. As you mentioned, there are some sidewalks, so there are curb cuts, but it's a pretty flat, even pathway.
Yeah. Sun exposure, it is a quite sunny area of the park based on the time of day because you're kind of in between the 2 buildings or the 2 sides of buildings. Mm-hmm. You get some shade depending on where the sun is. Of course, when the sun is directly above you, you're not going to get any shade. And then once you get up closer to the castle, to that hub area, there's very, very little shade. So it is quite sunny. Take your pictures and run away.
In terms of crowd flow, this is going to be the busiest area of the park because it's a funnel. It's a funnel to get people into the park, and it's a funnel to get people out. It is the only way to get in and out of Magic Kingdom, and because it is a long, narrow street, it ends up getting quite crowded. It is, of course, going to be busiest at Park Open and then after fireworks. Oof. After fireworks is when it is by far the worst.
It's scary.
We typically will try to wait 10 to 15 minutes after fireworks. Sometimes we've waited up to 30 minutes after fireworks to exit so that we don't have to deal with that crowd as much. That does obviously put you at the back for monorail or ferry or bus lines, anything like that, to get out of the parks. But we found that sometimes if we wait 30 minutes, we would end up getting to our car in the parking lot at the same time as if we had tried to exit right away, just because of how busy it gets.
Well, and it is really, really overwhelming to leave the park directly after the fireworks. From a sensory point of view,
like, I can't handle it, so I need to wait and not be around so many people. But that tends to help. I think it also depends on what is happening scheduling-wise that day. So some days at Magic Kingdom, the park closes out like pretty much right after fireworks, so everyone is exiting. Some days the fireworks happen and then there's still an hour or so of the park being open, so people are still trying to go and do one more ride.
And sometimes
there's the nighttime parade, Starlight parade. So if there are two shows of that and one of them is happening after fireworks,
more people are sticking around.
So it really depends. So check the My Disney Experience app to see what's happening on the day that you're there, and then make your plans accordingly. In terms of entering the park, I will also say that there are a lot of photo pass locations along Main Street because a lot of people just want to take photos with the castle. There are also a lot of people who are just going to stop and take their own photos, even not as part of the photo pass. So there can be a lot of lineups and just people who stop in the middle of the street. Just something to be aware of. Sometimes now, like, we tend to not go for rope drop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rare that we go for rope drop for any park these days. As annual pass holders, we just sort of have the luxury of being able to come and go as needed. But we tend to come in a little bit later so that it's not as crowded, and I've found that helps a little bit.
Yeah.
If we get there like 9:30 or 10 instead of 8 a.m., which is I think when it usually opens.
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Usually 8, I think. Yeah. Great. Let's talk about companion restrooms. So there are 2 companion restrooms in the Main Street U.S.A. area. The first is near City Hall. So right after you enter the park, to the left, it's actually between City Hall and the fire station, right in that kind of central, well, that's not the hub. I don't want to confuse folks. The little circle area. Town Square. That's what it's called. It has a name.
Like, there's a name.
Yeah, it's called the Town Square. So that washroom is between City Hall and Fire Station in that Town Square area. Because it's right near the entrance and exit, it is a busier restroom area, so just keep that in mind. And then the other companion restroom is actually inside First Aid, which is up near the hub between Casey's Corner and Crystal Palace. As we've mentioned in previous episodes, the First Aid companion restrooms aren't the best option because, number one, you have to sign in. So you'll have to speak with one of the nurses at the First Aid and ask them to show you to the companion restroom. You'll have to be escorted to that restroom. And then the restrooms are actually fairly small in the First Aid centers. So they're not the best option. But if you are in the hub and you need that restroom, that is an option for you.
In terms of quiet spaces, Nathan mentioned Center Street. So this is, if you were going down Main Street, there is a section that goes off to the right. That's a little street that doesn't end up leading anywhere ultimately. Mm-hmm. And this is what Disney has recommended as being a quiet space in this area. However, from experience, it is not quiet. Is it quieter than standing on Main Street? Sure, but you're still right next to the hustle and bustle of Main Street. So I don't actually think there's really a great quiet spot within Main Street USA. I think if you're looking for a quiet spot, try to get through Main Street USA to another location. But if you need somewhere to stop temporarily, Center Street, I guess, is a decent location. Yeah. We actually, while we were at Disney, filmed a whole little series for our TikTok and Instagram about quiet spaces at Disney World. So keep a lookout for that because we will start posting those videos soon.
Absolutely. Moving on to your wheelchair, ECV, and stroller rentals. This is the only place where you can do this in Magic Kingdom is on Main Street, USA, and it's directly after you enter the park before going under the railroad station. On your right-hand side is where you can get those rentals.
This is also where you will find guest relations. This is inside City Hall. There is mobility access. There's a ramp on the left that you can access if you need it. And this is where you would pay your $25 refundable deposit to access Braille guides, portable tactile maps, audio description or assistive listening, or handheld captioning devices. There's also a stationary Braille map in the guest relations lobby and near the Plaza restaurant, which is between Main Street USA and Tomorrowland.
All right, so let's get into our shops. There are a lot of shops on Main Street, USA. The entire area pretty much between Town Square and the Hub is shopping. So let's start off with the one that everyone knows, the one that everyone loves, Emporium. Emporium is the largest shop in Magic Kingdom. It's where you can get all of your Disney goodies, whether you're looking for Mickey ears, whether you're looking for pins, plushies, toys, apparel, anything you can think of. It's going to be at Emporium.
There is mobile checkout available here, which is nice, but I will say it gets busy. Again, we've mentioned this before, so I apologize if you hear some noises in the background. For some reason, whenever we sit down to film a podcast is the time when our cats decide that they want to play. But they're having a great time just playing around.
They are playing with a mouse, which is on brand. So.
Yeah. Not a real mouse, a toy mouse.
No.
But we
got to get them a toy Mickey.
I know. They love mice, and so do we, apparently. But anyway, so Emporium, I find my favorite time to go again is the morning. I say this about a lot of stores, but those big stores at the front of the parks, so this would be Emporium, Creations, Mickey's of Hollywood. What are the two at Animal Kingdom?
Oh, goodness me. I forget the names.
Anyways, but those tend to be busiest towards park closing. So if you are really eager to do some shopping or to look for some particular items, I'd recommend trying to pop in on your way to your first ride or your first destination, because I think you are actually likely to save time. It might seem backwards, but that's been our experience.
And just to say, Emporium recently underwent a bunch of renovations.
Oh, it really has confused me, because the last few times that we've been there, because it was under renovation, it was laid out differently each time. And now I think they're done renovations, but like the layout is different than it was. Yeah. And so my poor little brain was just lost.
But the good news is that they opened it up quite significantly, and there's a lot more space to navigate the store. Of course, it does get busy, so it is still squishy, but it's a lot more open and easy to navigate, I find, than it was previously.
To be honest, I was just overwhelmed with how everything was different that I don't think I noticed that, but I'm sure that's true. We also have Uptown Jewelers, which is, I guess, mostly Pandora.
Yeah.
And it has a bunch of other jewelry, too. It's where I got my 4 Parks collection that I'm wearing today, my necklace and my ring. But it has a Pandora jewelry store within it, I suppose. And then there are handbags, watches, figurines, artist sketches, apparel, a whole load of things. I find that this sometimes is like, if you're looking for a particular piece of merch that you have had trouble finding in other stores, sometimes they will have it. Like they had a sweater that I was looking for on this last trip, and no other store on property had on my size, and they were the one store that had it in my size. So
it's where you can find
hidden gem.
Yeah,
if I think
it's a hidden gem. Oh, I get it.
That's jeweler.
Hidden gem, but also I feel like it has your viral pieces. So, for example, as Emily said, it had your Girls Crew jewelry. It has your Kendra Scott. It has your Dooney and Burke. It has all of those kind of designer collections. Yes,
stuff.
Exactly.
So the expensive stuff.
All of the collabs.
Don't go in there if you don't want to spend money.
Yeah. But the good thing is that right next door, connected, is the Main Street Cinema, which is actually not a cinema. It's a store. And it's just another shop. There are so many shops in this area, and it's going to have a lot of the same goodies as Emporium. But just a place to check out if you're looking for stuff.
Yeah, and we have 2 more stores inside the Town Square Theater, Box Office Gifts and Curtain Call Collectibles, which again is headwear, apparel, plush toys. This is also where you can purchase Photo Pass. Like, is that where you get printed photos and stuff like that? Yeah. And finally, this is so fun because a lot of people don't know this. There's a Harmony Barbershop, and I think people think it's another. There are a lot of stores on Main Street that are meant to look like it's a facade. Yeah. So like you'll look up and it will be like it's a dentist, and obviously it's not a real dentist or whatever.
Fun fact.
If you go and stand outside the dentist, you can actually hear drilling noises.
Yeah.
Because that's how detailed Disney is. Also, if you haven't done the Keys to the Kingdom tour at Magic Kingdom, highly recommend.
It's where we know a lot of these facts.
Wheelchair accessible.
Yep.
I did the full tour in my wheelchair and I was totally fine.
Yep.
We learned so much. It was so fun. I would love to do it again. I'm thinking that maybe I want to try and do it again in the fall.
Nice.
Because I just had such a great time. And I know that we'd be learning some repeat things, but also like... It was just so interesting, and there's no way that I have remembered everything that we learned. But there is on Main Street a Harmony Barbershop, which is a real barbershop where you can get your hair cut. I don't know how many people... I mean, actually, it's very busy.
It's so hard to get a reservation. So I think people...
But I do think it's hilarious that people are like, I'm going to go get my hair cut at Disney.
I know.
And I'm curious how much it costs.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Do you think it's a premium price?
Probably, but...
I have no idea. And is it mostly like, is it a barber shop in the sense that it's like mostly...
like short haircut?
Shorter haircuts? Or like, would they do my hair? Like, I'm curious.
I think they do everyone, if I remember correctly, but I don't know. Anyway, it's just a really fun fact, and it's included under shops, which I think is so cute. Okay, moving on to food.
Yum.
My favorite part. And starting off with one of my favorite restaurants in all of Disney World, which is Tony's Town Square Restaurant. This is an American-Italian sit-down restaurant in that town square right at the front of the park. It is mostly indoors. It has a small outdoor patio, though, that overlooks the town square, which is absolutely gorgeous. However, if you're going in the evening, there's not a lot of shade. You get a lot of direct sun. I remember that.
Yes, that is true.
To access the Town Square restaurant in a mobility device, there is a ramp on the right side. Otherwise, there are a couple of steps. And they do have an allergy-friendly menu. We love it.
We also have the Main Street Confectionery. This is an old-fashioned candy shop. And this is also where they have the iconic create your own candy popcorn. So you can get popcorn with lots of different toppings with like M&Ms, pretzels. I'm just listing all the things that I like to get on it. It's really good. You can mobile order here. Something I learned about the popcorn though is that if you mobile order popcorn, you can only do
it's like pre-made,
preset topping options. Whereas if you go in person and order, you can fully customize it.
It's not too bad usually in terms of lines. You might have to wait 10 to 15 minutes, but it's worth it for that.
And I think you can mobile order other items from the confectionery too.
Yeah, you can.
They have a lot of different things, candy, apples, different like baked goods and treats, and then a lot of just candy as well.
Yeah.
They do not have an allergy-friendly menu, but I would imagine that some of their options that there are allergy-friendly.
They probably have, some gluten-free or dairy-free options if you're looking for things like that. Next up...
popcorn is gluten-free.
So true. Corn. We love to see it. We have Main Street Bakery, which is your Starbucks location at Magic Kingdom. This is the busiest Starbucks location out of all Disney World parks, I would say, next to maybe Connections Cafe at EPCOT. But Main Street Bakery is it's a lot smaller than it is at EPCOT.
I refuse to enter that building.
It's extremely small and loud, so it gets so busy, and it's very overwhelming. So keep that in mind. They don't specifically have an allergy-friendly menu, but as with most coffee shops, you can kind of customize your drinks, get alternate milks, or hopefully cater it to your needs.
We have the Plaza restaurant, which is casual dining deli style. So we have sandwiches, burgers, salads, and they do have an allergy-friendly menu. We also have the Plaza ice cream parlor, which is hand-scooped ice cream. I don't know how we've never had ice cream from here.
I don't know.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
It's silly.
I think it's because... we're usually there in the mornings, in Main Street, and we don't necessarily want ice cream in the mornings.
And usually our frozen thing of choice is a Dole Whip.
Yeah. They do have fat-free and no sugar added options, so if that is a dietary concern, there are those available, but other than that, there is no allergy-friendly menu.
Across the street, we have Casey's Corner, which is a iconic staple of the Magic Kingdom. It has your American baseball favorites. So think, it's mostly hot dogs, but they also have, corn dogs, mini corn dogs, French fries, all of that good stuff.
But can I make a complaint?
Yes.
Actually, it's not a complaint. It's a plea. It is a plea to Disney World, which is that
plea
they
to Disney.
do have veggie dogs available
Yeah.
at Casey's Corner, but they don't, the mini corn dogs, I want mini veggie dogs.
Oh, nice.
Because I want to get in on that mini corn dog action.
Yeah.
But I don't eat meat,
Yeah.
so I need that.
Okay.
Well, I eat chicken, but I don't eat other meat.
Josh, tomorrow, if you're listening, you know
Yeah.
what to prioritize.
He's a regular listener of our podcast.
Of course. Back to Casey's Corner. You can mobile order here, and they do not have a allergy-friendly menu.
Finally, we have the Crystal Palace. This is a very well-known dining location. It is character dining featuring Winnie the Pooh and friends. It is an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's sort of greenhouse inspired with a lot of light. There are topiaries and tropical palms. You can access the restaurant and mobility device. There's a ramp on the left, and they do have an allergy-friendly menu. This is one that I think you have to book for fairly well in advance because it fills up pretty quickly. And I know that the breakfast buffet is particularly popular, but I've also heard people say that the breakfast buffet is by far the best option out of all the meals because they have the churro Mickey waffles.
Yes.
Which I think otherwise you can only get on board Disney cruise ships. And hilariously, Nathan, I quite literally had a dream last night because we are going on a Disney cruise in a few months that we somehow missed the Mickey churro waffles. Like, that's how excited I am about them that I had a dream that we didn't get to do them, and I woke up and I was really sad.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
I'm glad you understand the seriousness.
That's very serious.
So...
Moving on to attractions, we have, as I've mentioned a couple times, the Walt Disney World Railroad stop in Main Street, USA. Something that we didn't actually know is that there's a ramp. For some reason, we thought it wasn't accessible.
So, well, here's the thing. We have ridden the Walt Disney World Railroad
Many times.
a few times, but the first few times that we went, I think they were doing some sort of refurbishment of that station. And so they kept telling us that that station was inaccessible. And I think what they meant is it temporarily is inaccessible. Like a wheelchair can't get on and off there. So you would have to go to the next stop to get on and off. But I thought that meant that it was just completely inaccessible the whole time. Like that it was, I would never be able to access it.
So we would never
I was
get
like,
on or off there.
When we were putting this list together, I was like, Nathan, it's not accessible. And he was like, oh, everyone else says it is.
Sure
and like
is.
the Disney World website says it is. So we are going to have to check that out when we're there in August.
Yes. So to access the railroad station in a mobility device, there is a ramp on the right-hand side. You are not able to ride the railroad in an ECV, so you would need to transfer to a standard wheelchair or be ambulatory. However, if you are in a standard wheelchair, you can roll right onto the railroad. Sensory-wise, there is a train. You're on a train. So there's going to be your choo-choo whistle. There's going to be probably some exhaust smells. You're also going to be traveling through the park, so different park sounds. But generally, it's a pretty low sensory, kind of chill. It's not, it's no fast train. It's a leisurely journey. And fun facts are that you can use your handheld captioning and audio description devices on the railroad.
We then have Meet Mickey at the Town Square Theater. This is a character meet and greet. It is fully accessible in terms of mobility devices, so you can remain in a mobility device. There is a ramp on the right.
Speaking of Mickey Mouse, now we're going to talk about some entertainment. We have all of our entertainment in the Main Street, USA area, even the parades that go through Main Street, just to make it easy. So starting off with the Castle Show, Mickey's Magical Friendship Fair that happens several times throughout the day. Mobility-wise, there is no specific accessible viewing area, so you're kind of on your own here.
Which, by the way, you might think is not a big deal. It is. You can't see.
Yeah, because people kind of just crowd the stage, and then if you're at a lower level, there are people standing right in front of you. So it tends to be better if you kind of hold back, but then obviously you're not as close, so it might be harder to see. So it's not ideal. I don't know why they don't have an accessible viewing area. Anyway, sensory-wise, it is entirely outdoors, and as I mentioned, you're getting a lot of direct sun in that area. There's also loud music, and at some of the performances, there are fireworks that happen at the end of the show, so just keep that in mind. Fun fact, though, is that there is American Sign Language interpretation available on Mondays and Thursdays. Those are your ASL dates at Magic Kingdom, Mondays and Thursdays. And the interpreters are located on a platform at the base of the stage on the right side of that castle.
But once again, there's no designated seating area or standing area, I guess, for ASL users. Yeah. So
you just have to
get there early.
Yeah.
Which is a little frustrating, I think.
Agreed.
And I think that they could do something better with that. Just my personal opinion. Speaking of designated viewing areas, we're next going to talk about Happily Ever After, which is our favorite nighttime show at Disney World. It's so good. I mean, I think it's my favorite nighttime show out of all the Disney parks we've been to.
Yeah, it's pretty fierce.
Yeah. There is a designated viewing area between the hub and the VIP area to the left of the castle. It's hit and miss. I really appreciate that viewing area, and it's great. But where they chose to put the viewing area is also behind a lot of like tall bushes and a really tall fountain. And so if you don't get sort of the perfect spot within that viewing area, you can't see the castle. So it's a little frustrating. We have sort of learned how to
get the perfect spot,
work and get the perfect spot and just sort of advocate for ourselves and talk to the cast members about it.
But it means being very particular and lining up several hours early.
Sometimes
2 to 3
hours early. So
it's wild.
It's a little frustrating, but I would rather line up that early. And when I say line up, I mean like I just sort of sit near there and wait and like eat dinner in that area and keep an eye on it. I'm not actually in a physical line for any period of time, but I just put myself off to the side in a non-busy area and watch it.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating that I end up spending a lot of my time on Magic Kingdom days doing that.
I mean, it's better than being in the very, very overwhelming middle where everyone's kind of crowding that castle near the hub. And of course, if you're in a mobility device, there are people surrounding you who are standing because it's a standing show. You must stand. So
I'm still very appreciative for it. I just think that there could be some better systems, such as some sort of registration or I don't know. I have some thoughts and ideas.
Bushes?
Yeah, like that they should have picked an area where there just isn't as much stuff in the way.
Yeah.
Because then every time we have gone to that area, people have gotten really upset about it and had big arguments with cast members. So it's just like, it makes me feel bad for the cast members too.
Yeah.
Anyways, sensory-wise, this is a very sensory-heavy show because there are a lot of fireworks. It's a fireworks show. So a lot of fireworks, lots of projections. The music is quite loud. It's very crowded. The lights on the castle flash, and they turn out all the lights sort of on the rest of Main Street, so it feels quite dark besides the bright castle. So if you have any sensory concerns with any of that, I wouldn't recommend this show for you.
All right, moving on to our...
Oh, sorry, just before you move on, one thing I just wanted to point out, no ASL for this guy.
Yeah.
Which is such a shame.
So silly.
But Tinkerbell does fly.
Tinkerbell does fly.
And I've never watched that show and not cried.
There you go.
And I've seen it so many times.
We're going to move on to our parades. So starting off with Disney's Festival of Fantasy Parade, which is your afternoon parade here at Magic Kingdom. There are 3 designated viewing areas for mobility device users or those with DAS, Disability Access Service.
And these ones slap.
These ones slap, yeah, so they're free, as I mentioned. The first is Main Street, U.S.A., near the fire station, so right in the town square. Liberty Square, across from the Hall of Presidents. And in Frontierland, across from Country Bear Musical Jamboree. We love the Liberty Square location, and that is because it is a smaller viewing area, for sure. However, there is a ledge, like a flower bed, and then there's a ledge there. So for your companions, we also get a seat, which is really nice while we're waiting for the parade or watching the parade. There is seating sort of available there. It's a great spot.
I will say both for the fireworks viewing and any of the accessible parade viewings, these accessible viewing areas are not a free-for-all. Yes. They are monitored by cast members who will admit you into this. You will be given a password so that if you have to leave and come back, your spot is saved, although one person from your party has to remain at all times to save your spot. And the reason they do this is just so that they can keep track of attendance and numbers because they can only let a certain number of people into these spaces just for safety. For the parades, this tends to not really be an issue because they have the 3 areas, and the 2 of the areas that are the Main Street U.S.A. area and the Frontierland area are quite large. Yeah. So I've never seen them get completely full to the point where anyone is like people. Not able to get in. And there are also so many parade viewing areas that are accessible even if you're not in that area that like you'll be fine. You don't need to worry too much about getting a spot really early on for the parades. It's just for fireworks that we found that it's an issue.
Totally. Sensory-wise for Festival of Fantasy, the music is loud, especially as those floats pass by you, and it can get crowded. However, if you are in those accessible viewing areas, because they are monitoring capacity, it never feels super crowded or squishy, which is really nice. And for Festival of Fantasy, they do have ASL available on Mondays and Thursdays. The interpreters are near the Liberty Bell, so again, across from the Hall of Presidents, but more on the corner where it comes around from Frontierland. It's not the best viewing spot, to be perfectly honest with you, we found, but
we happened to be there a couple weeks ago when they had ASL for the parade, and we saw the area, and it would have been a really awkward
angle,
I think, where you would have to sort of look this way at ASL and then like look this way for the parade, and then like you'd have to keep sort of going back and playing tennis like that, and I don't think it's the best option. The interpreters for the most part were interpreting the songs that were accompanying the floats
and to
during
be
Festival
honest,
of Fantasy.
It's very repetitive. So
it is quite repetitive.
A lot of repetition.
So so I would just be curious to know from the deaf and hard of hearing community what their thoughts are. Just from our outside perspective, but as people who work very closely with the deaf and hard of hearing community very often, we felt a little odd about it. I also just want to say sensory-wise, I'd say 80% of the time, Maleficent the dragon breathes fire, which can feel quite hot if you happen to be near there when she's opening her mouth and breathing fire. Sometimes she's not working. So that's why I say 80% of the time. But you can always tell
because it's more like 50-50.
Well, maybe I'm being generous, but you can always tell because she opens her mouth up real wide and then breathes fire.
Good point.
It is quite funny. One of the last times we went, she wasn't working, and I was like, "Oh no!" And the guy who was driving her gave me a look, and he was like, "I know, right? She's being tricky today." Like it was quite funny, but yeah. We also have like a little mini parade. It's the Disney Adventure Friends Cavalcade. This is a short parade. It's got like one big float or like one float and one small float. I don't know. It's mostly people walking the parade. Yeah. And it just has a handful of characters. It happens in the mornings, usually at like 11 a.m. And it's like
less than 5 minutes.
Like it's quite quick. Again, same 3 designated viewing areas. So any of those areas that we just mentioned, you can head to for the viewing for this. The music, again, is loud and it can get a little bit crowded. And I find that this one, because people don't always know that it's happening, like a lot of people know that the big parade happens, but they don't know about this one. I find that there's a lot of people who are suddenly like running in front of me to be like, oh 100%. My God, it's
Mickey,
like,
whatever. Yeah.
I don't think Mickey's even in that one.
Oh.
But like Elastigirl's there.
Of course.
You know? So like it's, I would say like that's one of the things is some of the not as common characters, like Merida, I think is in that one.
Oh, nice.
So it is fun. And like we have seen it a couple of times, but it's not one that we typically like set time to go and see. Yeah. But
and last parade, we have Disney Starlight, Dream the Night Away, which is the newish nighttime light parade. Again, you have those same 3 designated accessible viewing areas, which is great. Different for this one, of course, is that it's at night. So all of the lights around you are completely out except for the floats. And the floats are very bright.
Quite bright.
Some of them twinkle or flash. So just be aware of that. It's a beautiful parade.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, definitely I mean, it's a light parade.
We were so lucky that we got to be there only a couple days after Peter and Wendy started flying.
Yes.
And I cried
Yes,
the first time I
absolutely.
saw it. I don't know what it is about me and like flying, but every time Tinkerbell
pretty
flies,
magical.
maybe it's just Peter Pan characters for some reason get me emotional. But seeing those two fly and seeing Tink fly during Happily Ever After every time makes me cry. I think because it makes me feel like a little kid.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh,
It is magical.
It's magic.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Speaking of magic, we're moving on to the next area, which is Adventureland. So layout and navigation here is fairly straightforward. It's essentially just one long winding path. It doesn't have a lot of branches, so you just kind of go on your way.
In terms of terrain, one thing I want to note is that the bridge into Adventureland from the hub in front of the castle is like wooden slats. And so if you're in a mobility device or if you have a stroller or anything, it gets bumpy. It's short. So, you know, you deal with it for 10 seconds and then you're fine. Otherwise, I think the terrain is mostly fine. There's some parts that are a little bit textured, and I know that they were replacing some pavement a few years ago, I think. And so some parts are a little textured and some aren't. But for the most part, I think I've had no problem sort of maneuvering throughout that space.
Nice. For sun exposure, it's kind of a mix. There are some spots that are very, very sunny. For example, near the magic carpets of Aladdin, which isn't great because that means that your Dole Whip from Aloha Isle melts more quickly. However, that's what I'm thinking of. However, there are some shaded spots, especially around near Swiss Family Treehouse because, you know, there are things higher up and trees. Treehouse, get it? There are some shaded spots, which is nice.
Crowd flow, again, around magic carpets, it gets busy. There's a lot of stroller parking in that area and a lot of kiddos.
And a lot of Dole Whip eaters.
Yeah. And it's just like a lot of attractions sort of in one hub.
Yep.
So there's like Tiki Room, there's Magic Carpets, there's Jungle Cruise, there's Swiss Family Treehouse, and then there's a meet and greet with Jasmine and Aladdin.
Yeah.
And then there are...
Right over there's Pirates.
Well, Pirates, I was going to talk about like Skipper Canteen or whatever it's called. And like, so there's just like a lot in this one little location. And so it can feel busy, but you can definitely find pockets of areas that are less busy. And we'll talk about quiet spaces in a second.
Yeah. Companion restrooms, we have one in this area. It's behind Pirates of the Caribbean, so it's to the right of the ride as well as the shop in this back area. It's very near like the exit of the Pirates ride. So if you are exiting, it's right there. However, if you are going to that restroom, it can kind of be very squishy and narrow to find. So
it's also that bathroom, I think, is squishy.
It's pretty small.
That companion restroom is a little bit tight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's manageable. It's just in comparison to some of the other companion restrooms, it's a little bit smaller. I imagine because it was built a long time ago.
Yeah. I will say it is one of the only ones on this side of the park. We'll talk about one in Frontierland shortly, but again, that one's not great either.
No.
So... Yeah, you pick your battles.
I think companion restrooms in Magic Kingdom are probably the hardest.
Yeah.
This is the
thing.
thing.
There's some good ones in Tomorrowland.
Because Magic Kingdom is the oldest of the 4 parks at Disney World, in terms of accessibility, especially with older rides, it can be a little bit tricky.
True.
I mean, we find this across all of the older rides throughout the park. So like Spaceship Earth is one that we talked about in the last episode where it's like, the accessibility for that one is not great, but like it's partially to do with age and the time that they were built. So as they are building new rides like Tron,
like Tron
which
has
we'll talk about, great companion restroom, great accessibility.
Yeah, exactly.
So like we'll talk about that in a bit, but so they're clearly aware of it and working on it as they build
for sure
new things. So it will be interesting. Like Villains Land, I'm hoping is going to have some good companion restrooms.
And Piston Peak,
maybe Piston Peak.
Yeah, for sure.
So that will help a lot with that side of the park too.
Yeah.
But I do find that Magic Kingdom is one of those where it's like, well, this was built in the 70s, and so therefore, you know, we just didn't think about these things in the same sort of way. Not that I'm making excuses, but that I can understand why it is the way it is.
Speaking of restrooms, we also need to take care of our pets. So there is
service animals are not pets.
Thank you for that reminder.
Yep.
Thank you for that, Colin.
I mean, they can also be a pet, but I just mean that.
We have to think about
sure we
animals,
clarify.
I should say. So service animal relief area here is also adjacent to Pirates, so near those companion restrooms we just talked about.
Quiet spaces. Actually, one of my favorite quiet spaces in all of Magic Kingdom is this area near Swiss Family Treehouse. It's sort of, if you're coming into Adventureland from the hub, it's sort of right before Swiss Family Treehouse. There's this area with all these benches, and like no one's ever there.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet.
Very quiet. Now, it's not always shady, depending on time of day, but it's very quiet and very peaceful. And there have been times when we've gone and there have been like 6 empty benches and like no one's there, so that's nice. Disney also recommends the area next to those restrooms near Pirates of the Caribbean, as Nathan mentioned. My only caveat here,
it is quiet.
it is a great quiet area.
Yeah.
It is also the pathway that any mobility device users take to exit the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Yes.
Which means that like if I'm coming out in my wheelchair and there are some people there resting, I have trouble actually physically
very
getting
narrow
out. It's
area.
quite narrow.
Yeah.
So I think what I would say is if you're going to go hang out there because it's a quiet area, that's great. But just like keep an eye out and make sure that you're not blocking anyone's path. Because what I find is that a lot of people are there sort of on their phones because they're like decompressing and taking a break.
Yeah.
Totally get it. But then they aren't noticing that I'm trying to get through. So,
and it is right near the restrooms too. So there's a fair bit of traffic.
We all deserve access to the space, but like just look out for each other.
Yep. Okay, we have 2 small shops in Adventureland. The first is Island Supply, which is actually a Sunglass Hut location. So hilarious if you need your designer sunglasses, you know where to go. And the other shop is Plaza del Sol Caribe Bazaar. Hopefully I said that right. It's the Pirates exit store. So if you need anything pirate related, that's where you go. And
I do think we've never exited throughout the traditional Pirates exit route because we have to take an accessible exit, which we'll talk about in a sec. But I do think if you're going through the traditional exit, you actually exit through that store, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about food. First up, the very famous spring roll snack cart.
Yum.
Very popular, so the lines can get long. Here's another one where I want to call Disney and say, can we have a veggie cheeseburger spring roll? Because those cheeseburger spring rolls look amazing.
They slappity slap slap.
Nathan tried one for the first time on this last trip. Very much enjoyed it. I was so jealous. I genuinely considered eating meat for maybe 5 seconds just to like, I was like, what if I take a bite of it and then spit it out? But I was like, that's wild. I'm not going to do that. But I don't know, like it would be great if they could do like a Beyond Meat or an Impossible version of it.
They do some, things like that at other places
of veggie options throughout the park. So I think it would be great. I think a lot of people would enjoy that. They do not have an allergy-friendly menu. They also have pepperoni spring rolls, which we haven't tried.
No, but next time. Sure. Next up for food, we have Sunshine Tree Terrace, which is a Dole Whip place, but not your traditional Dole Whip. So you'll find your I Lava You float here, which is very popular. You'll also find other frozen drinks, other floats, and more limited or niche Dole Whip flavors. They do have mobile order, which is amazing because the other Aloha aisle where you can get your traditional Dole Whip does not, and usually the line is very long.
So if you're looking for Dole Whip Plus, like a fancy Dole Whip
Plus or Dole Whip mobile order at Sunshine Tree Terrace, they do not have an allergy-friendly menu.
We then have Jungle Navigation Co. Ltd. Skipper Canteen. Is LTD limited?
I would assume.
I don't know.
I think people just call it Skipper Canteen.
Jungle Cruise themed. So I think the idea is that like it's
skippers are serving you.
Yeah, and it's Skipper Canteen. This is where the skippers go to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing.
I imagine there's some good jokes.
Cuisine of Asia, South America, and Africa.
Yeah.
So interesting fusion blend there.
It's reminiscent of the ride.
Yeah.
So you go through the different rivers and those are the foods.
And they do in fact have an allergy-friendly menu.
Apparently, I've mentioned this like 20 times in the last hour. Aloha Aisle. It's where you get your traditional Dole Whip. You can get your all the things Dole Whip. The lines can get very, very long, and they do not have mobile order, so be prepared to wait up to 30 minutes to get your Dole Whip. But I promise you it's worth it.
Whereas across the country and Disneyland, their version, I don't think it's called Aloha Aisle.
It's not. It's just it's the tiki room little kiosk
snack
thing.
Bar thing.
Yeah.
You can mobile order Dole Whip there, which is so
and it never
great.
gets busy.
Yeah.
See? Anyway.
We then have a brand new Pirates themed bar called Beak and Barrel. We have not been.
Nope.
I would like to go. It looks fun.
It looks really cool.
But it's quite popular and hard to get reservations. I think probably just because it's so new. I imagine some of that excitement will die down at some point. But it's mostly drinks with some small food options. And it is an enclosed space with low lighting levels and high activity. Like, I think I remember watching on some other folks' vlogs who were in there that there are moments where it's like stormy like... it looks really cool. They do have an allergy-friendly menu. I would love to know what they have in terms of like non-alcoholic options too, because
I don't know.
We don't drink, so I would love to know if it is actually worth our time to go in there. Sure. But it does look really cool, and I do love pirates. So like the ride, not pirates as a group of people. They were not so nice.
Not so nice. Next, we will talk about attractions in Adventureland. So the first is Swiss Family Treehouse. It is not accessible because it's a treehouse. However, there is an abbreviated experience. That's the language that Disney uses, available for guests using wheelchairs. You enter through the exit. We have never done it before. From what I've read, you just sit there and kind of look around. So I don't really know.
It's just never piqued my interest.
Yeah, that doesn't sound that great. But anyway.
I think the idea of this experience is that it's kind of like a giant jungle gym for mostly for kids.
I think so.
It's geared towards younger kids to be able to like get some of their energy out.
Totally.
So
it is a walkthrough experience. You go at your own pace. There's lots of stairs. Also, it gets very high. So if you're scared of heights, this is not for you. Also, once you like go in, you can't really get out. So you kind of have to commit to the entire experience.
We then have the magic carpets of Aladdin. You cannot do this in an ECV. You would have to transfer to a wheelchair, but there is apparently a wheelchair accessible magic carpet, which we did not know until doing the research for this episode.
We got to try it.
So now I have to try it. We actually want to film a whole video of me trying out everything that I can do in my wheelchair without transferring across Walt Disney World, because I think that'd be really cool. It is an outdoor queue. I think from what I've seen, the queue doesn't tend to get super long because the ride itself, it's like a lot of people go on at once and then it goes around for like a minute and then it's done. So you're sort of swirling around and the carpets can go up and down, but apparently you can control it. The up and down of your carpet. So you can control how high it goes. You can tilt it up or down. So that's nice. So if you're not a big fan of heights, you can probably stop it from going too high. I mean, the highest it goes is not that high anyways, but if you don't like any heights, you can keep yourself lower to the ground.
Yeah. Next up is Jungle Cruise. Can remain in your wheelchair and ECV. So cool. They have a really cool way that, they turn this thing and you roll on and they turn you back and then it lowers down. It's really cool. Boat. So that's really wonderful. Awesome. The queue is outdoors, but it's mostly covered, so you do have some shade, which is nice. I will say, though, that
the queue is not accessible to wheelchairs just because it's quite narrow. Or to mobility devices, I should say. So they tend to, if it's busy, they will give you a return time to come back, and then they'll take you through the exit. And if it isn't busy, then they'll just bring you through the exit anyways.
Thank you. Perfect. Sensory-wise, there are moments of gunshots, so be mindful of that. The skippers themselves, who are leading our tour through the various rivers, can be loud because they're making their jokes, but also it's kind of like muffly because they use this like handheld mic thing. I think that's the point, but it can be kind of hard to hear. There is also a moment where you go under a tunnel and the skipper kind of takes a break, so you're kind of in this ominous dark tunnel for a moment. The lighting is dim, of course.
If you ride this ride with Emily and Nathan, we will be screaming along to the backside of water.
Yes.
And I apologize in advance. We can't help it.
I will also say, actually, sensory-wise, the skippers are telling these like dad-style jokes. So it can be kind of awkward and they kind of like look to you like, why are you not laughing at me? And then, I don't know, like I can feel a bit awkward in that ride, personally.
I've never felt awkward, but that's just because it's my sense of humor. I think. So
I'm
like that's so silly.
Weird. Anyway, that's just me, I guess.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Like if you can't understand those kinds of jokes, you would probably not have a great time.
Exactly. It might be hard to understand what the vibe is. You can use your assisted listening, handheld captioning, and audio description devices on this ride. And they also have American Sign Language available on Mondays and Thursdays. Through our research, it seems that we must request this 2 weeks in advance, and there's kind of like this time where you have to show up. So check out the Disney World website. There's a schedule of ASL for the entire resort, but especially for Magic Kingdom, and it has specific times where ASL is available.
Yeah, and the interpreters will just get on the boat with you.
Yeah.
We then also have Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. We haven't actually done this version of the Tiki Room. We've done the Disneyland one, so we're sort of basing some of our information off of that because I imagine it's quite similar. In terms of mobility, you can remain in your mobility device. You go into a room and it's animatronic birds singing at you, basically. The queue, from what I can tell looking at it from the outside, is outside but covered.
Yeah, I don't know. We've never done it.
And yeah, so they're animatronic birds speaking and singing. There is a storm sequence that happens, so there's some flashes and noise that happens during that. But you do have assisted listening, handheld captioning, and audio description device compatibility within the Tiki Room.
Awesome.
It's the
Tiki Room. The last attraction in this area, yo-ho, is Pirates of the Caribbean. Mobility-wise, you have to transfer from your ECV to a standard wheelchair and then into the ride vehicle. It is a boat-style ride, so you'll have to step into and down into the boat. So here's the thing about this ride, which is confusing. Every time we go, the way that they ask you to transfer out of your mobility device and where that happens in the queue seems to be different.
Yeah, they keep trying new things.
They're like, we'll take you over here, or we'll take you over here. The last time we went, they took us to this area.
Which was like 10 days ago.
They took us to this area where the ground was like stones, not cobblestone, like physical stones, which meant that it was like extremely bumpy and uncomfortable. So just keep that in mind. Then they take your mobility device to the exit, so it'll be ready for you. Then, as Emily mentioned earlier, you have to take this elevator because otherwise you go up this moving steeped walkway. You don't have to do that. Your mobility device will be there. You get into this very squishy elevator, and then you go out through this narrow path that we mentioned earlier. So just be mindful of that.
Again, it's an old ride, so it was built in not a very accessible way. So there are ways to access it, but it's just a little funny. And I do think I just need them to determine how this system of getting you out of your device, because every time we've been, as Nathan said, it has changed, and that is something that I find quite overwhelming. I'm like, I would like it to be the same experience each time, please.
Yeah. And from what I can see in my research, there's no transfer devices available, which is interesting, but just keep that in mind. The queue is indoors, but it can be very, very dark, especially as you get closer to those boats, so just keep that in mind. Sensory-wise, you do have one drop. It's a smaller drop, but it is in the dark, so you don't really know it's coming. There are gunshots, there are water splashes, you have fire, you have loud music, you have pirate talk. So it is a bit of a sensory overwhelming experience, and throughout the ride it continues to be fairly dim. So you can use your...
it is scented.
Scented,
yes. I don't know if it's on purpose scented, but it definitely has a smell.
It has the smells, so for sure.
It's very famously has a smell.
Lastly, you can use your handheld captioning and audio description devices on Pirates of the Caribbean.
All right, we're going to move on to Frontierland. So layout and navigation, similar to Adventureland, it's sort of one curving pathway, especially right now because they've closed off some of it to build Piston Peak. It's even more direct, you can't go down alternate pathways, really. The terrain is smooth and flat, but to get into some of the shops and restaurants, there are small ramps because they're sort of up on like a wooden platform. Up a step, so you just have to look out for the ramps to be able to get up and down.
Yeah. Awesome. Sun exposure, again, this area is pretty sunny. There are some shades closer to the buildings, depending on the time of day, as that's how sun works.
That's how sun works. Crowd flow, I've never thought that it has felt super busy here because the pathways are quite wide. So I guess it gets busier during parades and stuff.
For sure.
I've never really had a huge problem. Companion restrooms. This one is a problem.
We don't like this one.
There is a companion restroom near the exit of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but it is...
busy.
No, it's not just busy. It's the door to the restroom is within a narrow hallway that we cannot physically navigate my wheelchair into without Nathan physically picking up my wheelchair and turning it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they have labeled it as a companion restroom. I mean, maybe you could say it's a companion restroom in terms of like
families, maybe?
Families, but in terms of mobility devices, I do not think it would be ADA compliant because the turning radius is not wide enough. So I would not recommend it if you're a mobility device user.
And I was mentioning that it gets very crowded in this area because people are exiting. There's also like a courtyard in this area. And
there's also a thing that happens, which is like people go on a water ride and then immediately have to pee.
100%,
so
which
like
makes
that
sense.
area just is going to be busy and full of kids.
But the restrooms are up a step, like some of those other shops and restaurants and attractions we mentioned before. So there's like this narrow pathway to get to the restroom. So it's just, we don't find it ideal.
We literally went once and then I said never again.
Never again. So we usually go down to the Pirates washrooms, but again, those aren't ideal. So there you go. Quiet spaces, we have two in this area that Disney mentions. One is Miners Cove, which is near the Big Thunder exit.
It's currently not open, but I imagine will be once Big Thunder reopens.
Yeah, it might be different though with the construction. So I don't know what this will look like come May 24th, but we'll see.
We'll find out.
And the second is near the Tiana's Bayou Adventure Restaurants, which we just said is not good.
Well, but no, there's that area like right at the end. Do you remember?
Oh, right.
And
there's like this little courtyard thing.
Mini courtyard there, which I do actually think is a decent quiet area. But that's like
true, actually.
Past the restrooms.
You're right. Sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
All right.
Shopping, we have 4 options here. So Tiana's Bayou General. This is the store that you exit through after riding Tiana. So it's a lot of Tiana-themed items. There's also the Critter Co-op, which is more Tiana-themed merch. So if you are a big Tiana fan, which you should be, you have a lot of options. We then have Prairie Outpost. And Nathan's note here is just hats.
It's just a hat store.
I love that.
You can get cowboy hats. You can get bowler hats. You can
I don't know that I've ever been in there.
Fedoras. Yeah, it's just hats.
Then we have Frontier Trading Post with a
great store.
General store. There are a lot of pins in that store, but then also some other accessories.
Random accessory things, sunglasses, keychains, those kind of things.
Let's talk about food.
Oh, I love food. Let's start off with Golden Oak Outpost. This is like a quick service kiosk. It's an old West style eatery, so you have your fried chicken. This is also where you can get your beignets.
It's the only place we can get Tiana's beignets.
Yeah, in the parks. And it's kind of in between Frontierland and Adventureland.
But, hot tip, the beignets here are not as good as they are at Port Orleans French Quarter, where you can get Mickey-shaped beignets.
So true. Yeah, these are not Mickey-shaped. They're just circles.
No. They're like rectangles.
Oh, you're right. Like Tiana's. Okay.
Yeah. But you can now in the mornings, too. They have the new caramel. Or no, are they like caramel banana?
Yeah, something like that. Like Banana Foster.
It's like Banana Foster inspired.
You're right. You're right. Here they don't have an allergy-friendly menu.
Correct. We then have Pico's Bill, Tall Tale Inn and Cafe. This is a spot that we hit up quite regularly.
Yeah, it's a popular one.
Large and popular quick service with indoor and outdoor seating. It's Mexican food. So there are rice and nacho bowls, sandwiches, burgers, churros.
Mini churros, which are really good.
Mini churros. But you can also customize your rice and nacho bowls, which is quite nice. So it's like a build your own. And you can do that fully through the app because there is mobile order available, which is super nice. And they do have an allergy-friendly menu. So it is a great option. They have the build your own bowls available for kiddos too. So I always get a kid's size. Yep. Or sometimes I'll get a quesadilla there or something, but we love that. Yeah. We get a lot of food from there.
It's a really nice spot. And lastly, we have Westward Ho. This is a snack kiosk. It has hot and cold drinks. It has chips, mini corn dogs. Again, no veggie option. It doesn't have an allergy-friendly menu. And I've also heard rumors that this might be closing. But I don't know. Right now it's open. So go and get your mini corn dogs.
It's so funny because Westward Ho in Disneyland is like a pin store.
I know.
Westward Ho Trading Co. That's what it's called there. So
confusing.
Sometimes my brain gets confused. Magic Kingdom and Disneyland are like quite
very
similar, but then there are a handful of like little differences. But every time I go, my brain is like, so. In terms of attractions, first up we have Tiana's Bayou Adventure, a beautiful ride. Mobility-wise, you have to transfer from a wheelchair ECV. There is a transfer access device available for this one. Again, you're stepping into a flume, which is like a log boat. So you have to step down and a lap bar comes up. The queue is not accessible, but there is a point where you get to before you hit some stairs where a cast member will pull you out if you're on a mobility device. So if you're going through Lightning Lane or the regular standby line, either way, they will pull you out at that point when you get there. So they will take you an accessible route and then you'll go through the exit. In terms of sensory, many drops. It's a drop ride,
lots of
water
drops.
drop ride, including one very large drop at the end, and you will get wet. It's a water ride. It used to be Splash Mountain for a reason. You get splashed. The front rows tend to get more wet, and the back rows are a little bit drier. But sometimes it also just depends on like the wind, the weight of the boat. Like it's not
Every
not
time
consistent.
is different.
Yeah. So, and there are some moments that are dark because you're sort of going in and out of this mountain, and some moments of loud music, but it is a really fun ride. It's one of our faves.
Next up, we have Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is reopening very soon.
Miss you, girl.
Mobility-wise, at least this is what Disney still has on their website, so I imagine it is not changing. You have to transfer from your ECV to a standard wheelchair and then to the ride vehicle, meaning that the queue is not accessible for ECVs. There is a transfer access device available, and there used to be, you used to have to enter using a mobility device through the exit. I don't know if this will be the same come next week, but we'll find out.
I imagine that stuff hasn't changed
Yeah,
too much, because I
imagine.
think they mostly were just changing the ride itself
Yeah.
and not the
Yeah.
queue, but we could be wrong. And if we find out more information about this, we will, of course, provide an update in a later episode.
Totally. Sensory-wise, it is a thrill ride. It is a roller coaster. There is also a moment where they simulate the mountain blowing up. It can be loud. And what we will find out soon is that they are adding a revamped rainbow cavern scene with glowing phosphorescent pools. What a fun word. Over 2,000 bats and restored enhanced effects. So
Bat cave.
what does that mean for sensory access? We don't know yet, but I imagine that will be something to consider.
And then finally, in this area for attractions, we have the Country Bear Musical Jamboree.
Love.
Mobility-wise, there is accessible seating, but it is quite close, so it's not the best view. Like, not to spoil stuff, but there's a moment that happens overhead, and like you're just
have to,
staring up her skirt. Like you can't really see her.
But she is an animatronic bear, so
Yeah, you're not staring up a human skirt.
yeah,
so
that wouldn't be good.
is that more polite then if it's not a human? I don't know.
And it's a bear.
In terms of the queue, you enter through the door on the left. There's like a specific spot where it asks for mobility device users to wait.
That's one of those ramp areas up to the wooden.
Correct. What I
Sidewalk
will
thing.
say though is that there have been times when cast members haven't seen us waiting there. So I sometimes just like to try to make sure I make eye contact with
Or like,
someone and that they know that I'm there,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, "Hi, we're here," in a nice way, like not in an impatient way. But there have been times where they have fully not seen me and like let everyone in for the next show and then been like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were there."
Yeah, the show's
So-
already started, so you have to wait 20 minutes.
Yeah. In terms of sensory, the music can be loud, but I don't think it's that overwhelming.
No.
Like, I think there's nothing that I remember being like a big loud moment.
No, it's pretty consistent. Yeah.
And I think it's nice. There's AC in there, so it's like
There
a good little
is, there
break.
is.
And I just love that show. I think it's so
Very
silly.
fun. It's very fun.
And it is compatible with assistive listening, handheld captioning, and audio description devices.
Awesome.
Love to see it.
Moving on to Liberty Square, starting with layout and navigation, it's fairly straightforward. It's essentially a T, so you're coming from the hub into Liberty Square, and then you can either go right towards Haunted Mansion or left towards Frontierland. Haunted Mansion is a good wayfinder, except right now it's covered in scrim, so I don't know.
little
But
trickier,
anyway,
yeah.
it's up there and it's big and it's high.
In terms of terrain, it's mostly smooth. Again, there's another one of those wooden slat bridges from the hub, so that can be bumpy. And then near some of the buildings, if you get right up to the buildings, there are some like brick pathways that are a bit bumpy, but like the main paths are flat and smooth.
Yeah. In terms of sun exposure, it's similar to Main Street, how you have those like buildings on both sides, especially between the hub and where that T is. So if you get closer to the buildings, depending on the time of day, you can get some shade. There's also an underpass between Memento Mori, which is the Haunted Mansion themed store in Fantasyland. So a lot of people kind of hang out there to get a break from the sun or just to get a break in general, reapply their sunscreen, etc. So yeah. There you go.
Crowd flow, it's mostly a throughway, so it's not too crowded, I have found, but the Haunted Mansion line can sometimes get quite backed up and lead into the center of Liberty Square, so that can sometimes cause a little bit of narrowing of the pathways, but I don't think it gets too bad. And there are no companion restrooms in this area.
There are not companion restrooms, but your service animal can go to the restroom behind Liberty Tree Tavern.
Correct. In terms of quiet spaces,
Great here.
Well, there's an area next to the Hall of Presidents, which is usually quiet, but it's like,
Small
that's a
and
mid area. My favorite area, this is besides the quiet area near Swiss Family Treehouse. I have 3 favorites. This is my second favorite, which is behind the Ye Old Christmas Shop. There are lots of seats there. It's shaded. It's quiet. It's a really nice spot. Yeah. Highly recommend if you're looking for.
I think this is the best one at Magic Kingdom.
I think it's probably my favorite as well. Yeah. And it's kind of in the middle too, so it's like a good, if you're in any location, it's like not too far.
There you go. Speaking of shopping at Ye Old Christmas Shop, this is a Christmas all year round store. So you can go there, get your ornaments, you can get your stockings, you can get other Christmas themed goodies. It's a great store. It's a bit squishy, so keep that in mind, but it's typically not too busy, so.
And then we have Memento Mori, which is one of my favorite stores. It's the Haunted Mansion store. It's where I got the shirt that I'm currently wearing today.
Gorge.
There is a ramp on the right side of the store to get in, but there are often people sitting there and blocking the ramp. If this is the case, you can go around the back and enter that way, and it is accessible. So there are like 2 sides to get into the store, and there are usually not people blocking the other side. So that's been my experience. It's a little squishy for a mobility device, but I've never found that it's been super busy in that store to the point where I've been like panicky. So,
but it is a smaller store, so
it is a smaller store, but it's also a really cute store.
It is a great store. Food-wise, we have a lot of options in Liberty Square. So starting off with the Diamond Horseshoe. This is a Western-style music hall that serves all-you-can-eat traditional American food. It is a 3-course meal, and they do have a plant-based option, which is great, as well as an allergy-friendly menu.
Is this where we went in to pick up...
Yes.
We did trick-or-treating in there once? During the Halloween
I think so. Yeah.
We've never eaten in there, but we went in there for trick-or-treating,
beautiful.
And it's big.
Yeah, it's big and beautiful.
We then have the Liberty Tree Tavern, which is a colonial-style inn serving traditional New England-inspired fare. There are 6 rooms, like 6 dining rooms, each commemorating a pivotal figure in U.S. history. There is an all-you-can-eat 3-course meal with a plant-based option available. In terms of mobility, there is a ramp on the left that you can use to enter, and they do have an allergy-friendly menu.
Next up, we have Sleepy Hollow, a fan favorite. It's where you can get funnel cakes and waffles. That's kind of mostly what they're famous for. Nice, yummy, doughy treats. They do have mobile order available, which is wonderful, but they do not have an allergy-friendly menu.
We have the Liberty Square Market, which is snacks. So there's chips, fruit, turkey legs, hot dogs, beverages. I think it's like a kiosk kind of area.
Like,
kind of like a Hollywood Studios.
Yeah,
that one. No allergy-friendly menu.
And lastly, we have Columbia Harbor House, one of our favorite quick service options. It's very, very popular, so it can get pretty busy around meal times. There are 2 levels indoor for seating. The top level tends to be a lot quieter, so hot tip.
I don't know how well known this is or how easy it is for folks to find this out. There is
an elevator, but it's like in the back in the kitchen.
You have to go into the kitchen, but I think they will let you use it because they let me use it.
They let you use it during Keys to the Kingdom tour.
But I imagine that if I asked someone to access the elevator that they would take me, I think you would just have to have a cast member take you. So there is an elevator up to the 2nd floor because I think that they understand that people want to go up there and have a quieter space.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot quieter than downstairs. Yeah. They do also have some very limited outdoor seating as well. This is New England-inspired favorites. It's mostly seafood. One of my favorites is the lobster roll there, but you can get like a nice shrimp salad as well. But you can get your chicken tendies here as well if needed. You can mobile order here, which is great. And they do have an allergy-friendly menu.
We love it. In terms of attractions, but I wanted to talk about Haunted Mansion. Can I just talk about both?
Yeah.
Okay. First off, we have the Hall of Presidents. We've never been in here, so I don't know a ton about it, but you can remain in your mobility device. You would enter through the door on the right-hand side. There is a waiting room with seating available. It is a low sensory experience, so the lighting is dim. The animatronics, it's an animatronic show, so there aren't like live performers, so there's nothing that's gonna like
jump out
be
at
a
you.
surprise.
Yeah.
And it is assistive listening, handheld captioning, and audio description device compatible. We then have Haunted Mansion, which is one of my favorite rides of all time. You must transfer from your wheelchair ECV. There's a transfer access vehicle available. When you're going into the house, into the mansion, that you'll be asked to stay to the right, and you'll be the last one in and the last one out of the stretching room, just to make sure that they can get to you and address your needs, because they will pause you, ask you to rise like the dead from your carriage. They call them mobility devices. And then they will bring you through a separate line to the moving walkway. You can ask for the moving walkway to be slowed or stopped to get on or off if needed. The queue between the gates and the doors into the ride building, it's cobblestone, so it's quite bumpy.
It's very bumpy.
It is a dark ride. There are a lot of spooky sounds. There's some loud music, some flashing lights. Things do pop out at you, but it's like nothing majorly quickly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
hi, I'm a ghost. Yeah, and they're friendly ghosts at the Haunted Mansion.
And then we have it is available to or compatible to use with handheld captioning and audio description devices.
I just want to give a quick hot tip.
Hot tip.
It is actually hot. It has to do with heat. Where they tend to, depending on the number of mobility devices that are people who are using mobility devices are on the ride, your mobility device might end up in the direct Florida sun.
Yeah.
At the exit.
And if you use something like a wheelchair, parts of that wheelchair are leather which get really hot.
Really hot. So I'm just saying, you might want to be careful, or even maybe ask if it can be put in a shaded spot.
Sometimes I have even taken my rain poncho and covered my device in the poncho to help it. So,
but I don't know why that comes to mind, but it does come to mind. So there you go. Heat.
Okay, we are now going to move along to Fantasyland.
Fantasyland.
In terms of layout and navigation, I do think that this is the hardest area to navigate within Magic Kingdom. And I don't mean hard as in like it's super difficult, but like it's probably the most complicated. It is a big area. There are a few different pathways that you can take, so I think it does get a little bit confusing. You can see the castle from most vantage points, I think, which is helpful to have as a wayfinder, like the back of the castle. But it is just a big area, and it also contains Storybook Circus, which is kind of really its own land, but is technically considered part of Fantasyland. So there's just a lot going on here. The terrain, though, is flat and smooth, and you can find some shaded areas. Near the carousel, I think, is quite sunny because it's just quite open. But if you go closer to any of the buildings, there's a fair bit of shade.
Totally. For crowd flow, it's definitely an extremely busy area, and there's a lot of families and a lot of children. There are a lot of children running around and being very excited, which is really cute. There are also so many strollers, so much stroller parking, so it's just pretty crowded around here. All right, companion restrooms. We have 4 companion restrooms in Fantasyland. Fun times. I'll just preface this by saying that the companion restrooms in Fantasyland tend to be busier just because you have more families with young children who also are using those restrooms. So just to keep that in mind. But let's go through the 4 locations. So one is to the right of Pinocchio Village House.
That's a good one, too.
That's a great
nice
one.
And roomy.
The second is behind Gaston's Tavern, which is a little bit quieter, so that's good. The third is in front of the railroad station, which is technically in Fantasyland, but it's in Storybook Circus, so it feels separate to me, but it is within Fantasyland.
This one always has a lineup for like people needing to change their kiddos and stuff.
Totally.
So it's a
After
bit
the
busier.
Barnstormer. And the last are at the Tangled restrooms, which are between Haunted Mansion and It's a Small World. These are currently closed for refurbishment as of April/May 2026, but they'll be reopened soon. So you have many options here.
In terms of service animal relief areas, we have one near the Walt Disney World Railroad, as Nathan mentioned, that is in Storybook Circus. And then also in Storybook Circus, we have one of the quiet spaces, which is the area outside Pete's Silly Sideshow. I can't say much about this. We did try to go there to check it out when we were there the other week, just to sort of see what it was like, but that area is currently closed for refurbishment, so we couldn't really see that area. Yeah. But I do think that there are character meet and greets or in that area, didn't you say?
In Silly Sideshow is character meet and greets, but then outside there's like a bunch of picnic tables. Okay. When we were there recently, there was absolutely nobody there. But however, right now, because it's under refurbishment, it was not accessible. Yeah. It was up steps, so Emily wasn't able to visit that area. But there was nobody there. So. And
then the area near the Wishing Well, which is on if you're looking at the castle, it's on the right side of the castle, is a very good little quiet area. And the pathways leading to the Wishing Well are also quite quiet.
However, sometimes there's a photo pass thing near the Wishing Well.
Yeah. The few times that we've been there, we haven't seen someone, but I have seen people get photos taken there, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Shopping?
Okay, we have a few stores here. Let's start off with Fantasy Fair, which is the exit store for Mickey's PhilharMagic. Honestly, I haven't been in here in forever, so I don't have any notes.
We have Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, which is a store, but also, well, I guess it's not a store. It's an experience, but you are going to spend money. Yeah. It is a children's makeover station. So you can be made over into a prince or princess if you are between the ages of 3 and 12. It's very popular.
Just missed it.
Yeah. It can be hard to get a reservation.
Oh, yeah. It's also very expensive. You pay like a flat price
of a few $100s.
Yeah, and there are different tiers and levels on the price options, and then your kids get made over. It's really cute. If you are looking for more a la carte costume options for your kiddos, you head across the plaza to Sir Mickey's, where they have more costumes, different apparel and accessories, very family focused.
We have the exit store for the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh called the 100 Acre Goods, which is honestly such a cute name.
It's a good store too. It's
cute. Whoever came up with that name is just like, yes, you did it. You did a good job. Very Winnie the Pooh themed items. There are some other items there, but it's mostly Winnie the Pooh. And then we also have the Beauty and the Beast themed store, which is Bonjour Village Gifts. I've never been in there, but I imagine it's mostly Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Finally, within Storybook Circus, we have Big Top Souvenirs, currently closed for refurbishment.
Yep.
But this has circus-themed souvenirs, pins, snacks, and treats.
I will say a lot of people go here for pin training. Apparently, the pin boards are really, really good back here because it's kind of back.
They're popping.
So just shouting out those people who go to Big Top. Moving on to food, starting off with a popular quick service option, Pinocchio Village House, which serves Italian-American foods, greasy, classic goodness. Pizza stuff.
It can be quite busy around meal times. Yep. It does have indoor and outdoor seating, and sometimes around meal times when it gets busy, they will have someone stationed outside who is checking whether or not you have a mobile order placed. It is mobile order, or it does have mobile order available, because they kind of are encouraging people to mobile order rather than creating a huge line. And they do have an allergy-friendly menu.
Moving on to Cinderella's Royal Table. Ooh, this is a hard-to-get reservation because it is character dining, Cinderella, of course, inside of Cinderella Castle.
I also think it's Cinderella and other princesses.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing.
From what I recall.
Cool.
Hearing other people talk about.
It is a prefix 3-course meal, so you're paying a flat price and you're getting 3 courses. That's exactly what I just said. It is on an upper level of the castle, but there is an elevator available for anyone who requires, and it does have an allergy-friendly menu.
We have the Friar's Nook, which is a quick service menu with hot dogs, hand pies, tots, and donuts.
Yum.
It is only open for breakfast and lunch. I did make this mistake once where I really decided I wanted tater tots in the evening, and I could not get them, so I was very sad. They do have mobile order available, but they do not have an allergy-friendly menu. We also have Storybook Treats, which is ice cream, sundaes, floats, and beverages with no allergy-friendly menu.
a couple other extravagant sit-down dining options. Be Our Guest restaurant, which is inside Beast's Castle. Restaurant. Again, French-inspired cuisine, prix-fixe 3-course meal, and they do have an allergy-friendly menu. And then, for more Beauty and the Beast-themed dining, we have Gaston's Tavern, which has more snacky-type goodness. Snacks like warm cinnamon rolls and this I didn't know, but I got to try, is a non-alcoholic signature beverage called Le Fou's Brew, which is frozen Minute Maid apple juice with a hint of toasted marshmallow topped with fruit-flavored foam. Actually, I will not be trying this.
I'm not a marshmallow person.
I don't like the sounds of that, but apparently it slaps. So there you go. No allergy-friendly menu at Gaston's Tavern.
Finally, we have a couple of options for snacks. We have Prince Eric's Village Market, which has snacks including turkey legs, pretzels, grapes, pickles, frozen slushies.
I love grapes.
And then the Cheshire Cafe, a fairy tale cottage-inspired kiosk with snacks and drinks, neither of which have an allergy-friendly menu.
All right, let's talk about attractions. There are a lot of attractions in Fantasyland. So, starting off with...
through them.
It's a Small World. You do have to transfer from your ECV into a standard wheelchair. However, once in that standard wheelchair, there is a wheelchair accessible boat, so you can stay in your wheelchair for the ride. You have to enter through the designated wheelchair entrance, which is near the exit to the right-hand side of the ride, because the standby queue is not, or lightning lane are not accessible. The queue is
indoors?
Sort of indoors, but it's open. So
it is. Yeah.
Sensory-wise, it's chill. However, that song really gets stuck in your head, and it can be a bit annoying. And then your kids are going to be singing it all day long. Anyway, but generally, it's a pretty low sensory environment, which is great. It's a slow-moving boat ride, and you can use your handheld captioning and audio description devices on this attraction.
Next up, we have Peter Pan's Flight. You do have to transfer for this one. It is a moving walkway, so you can't ask for it to be slowed or stopped, but you will have to sort of walk on, and you're climbing into a flying ship. The queue is outdoors, but mostly covered. It is a dark ride, and it can swoop a little bit, but sensory-wise, I think is pretty... relaxing. And then it is handheld captioning and audio description device compatible.
Next up, we have Prince Charming Regal Carousel. You have to transfer from your ECV to a standard wheelchair, but you can access the ride in your wheelchair. However, it is stationary once you get onto the ride.
Yeah, you're not going up and down.
The horses don't go up and down.
It's just not a horse. You're in like a carriage. When you're in a wheelchair.
Oh, yes, I'm saying, but the horses move up and down, but if you're in a wheelchair, you're just sitting and going around.
Although, if you're a non-wheelchair user and you want to be on a horse, but you don't want to go up and down, I think there are some that don't move.
Okay, great.
As well, for folks who might need that.
The queue is outdoors. Sensory-wise, it's quite loud. Lots of flashing and music and kids. Some of the inside panels, this is typical in a carousel type attraction, are like reflective or mirrored. So that can give off a little bit of like a flashing sensation. So just be mindful of that.
Next up, we have Mickey's PhilharMagic. This is a show, so you can remain in your mobility device. There is a waiting room rather than a traditional queue. It is a 3D experience, and there's surround sound, there's wind and water and mist and some subtle vibrations that happen, and it is compatible with assisted listening, handheld captioning, and audio description devices.
Next up, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. You must transfer from your ECV to a standard wheelchair, but they do have an accessible ride vehicle for standard wheelchairs. The queue is outdoors / indoors, covered. It's very interactive, the queue. There's a lot of things you can kind of do, which can make it a bit louder because people are engaging with stuff. Sensory-wise, it is a dark ride. There's a moment where you bounce like Tigger, and there's also one section that's like a bit psychedelic, and you're kind of unsure what's going on. So keep that in mind. And it is handheld captioning and audio description device compatible.
We have Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You, again, must transfer if you are in a mobility device, but there is a transfer vehicle available. The queue is long and mostly outdoors, but again, like Winnie the Pooh, has some interactive elements, which is great for kids or for anyone who just wants to be able to keep themselves entertained in a long line, because this line does get quite long. In terms of sensory, the ride vehicles rock. So they're not sort of stationary. It's a roller coaster. And so
It's pretty minimal.
It's minimal,
rocking,
but they do rock.
You could make it rock more if you
And
wanted.
it's a very moderate coaster. There's no big drops, but it's still a coaster, so it goes quickly. And there are some louder indoor moments, but overall, out of most coasters, it's a little bit more tame.
Next up, we have Enchanted Tales with Belle. This is like a show sort of walkthrough interactive thing. You must transfer from an ECV to a standard wheelchair to experience this attraction. It's a waiting room type queue, so no line. Sensory wise, you may become part of the show.
It's interactive.
It's interactive. You'll be asked to, engage. So keep that in mind. And it is assisted listening, handheld captioning, and audio description device compatible.
Next up, we have Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid. You will have to transfer from an ECV to a standard wheelchair, but it is wheelchair accessible, which I didn't know, so that's super fun. It's mostly indoors for the queue, but it can get quite dark in there.
Yeah.
I suppose part of the queue is outdoors, but typically the queue isn't long enough that you're stuck in the outdoor part. So usually you're in the indoor part. It's a dark ride, but it moves slowly. The music isn't overly loud. Some moments are a little bright, but I think in terms of sensory, it's quite mild. And it is compatible with handheld captioning and audio description devices. I'll also mention that in Fantasyland, as we said within Storybook Circus, there is a Walt Disney World Railroad stop. Same thing goes for the other stations, so I don't think we need to drill into all the details there.
For sure. Staying in Storybook Circus, we have the Barnstormer, which is like a kid coaster. It's pretty tame. It's very short. You do have to transfer from your mobility device, and the queue is outdoors. However, it's typically a pretty short wait time, so there you go.
We have Dumbo the Flying Elephant. Yay. You must transfer from any mobility device, but there is a transfer vehicle available. The queue is indoor with a circus-themed play area. Yes. So this can often get quite crowded and loud. In terms of sensory, it's a spinning ride with vertical movement. So it's similar to the Aladdin ride. You control how high or low your elephant flies. So again, that's a nice option. The difference between this one and the Aladdin ride in terms of accessibility is that the Aladdin ride is wheelchair accessible. This one is not.
Yes. And the last attraction in Fantasyland is the Mad Tea Party, the famous teacups. You do have to transfer from your mobility device. There is a transfer access vehicle available, but do keep in mind that the platform itself is constantly moving, even when you are getting on your teacup. But this can be slowed or stopped upon request.
That must be awful when getting off because you're already dizzy.
Spinning. You're like, whoa!
And then you get off of it and you're still moving.
Yeah, we've never done these. We're not a teacup family.
We should try it.
We should. The queue is outdoors, minimal shade, but again, the wait time is usually not too long. Sensory-wise, it's a spinning ride. There you go.
All right, we are in our final land, which is Tomorrowland. So starting with layout and navigation. I think it can be a little bit confusing. It does feel like there's a bit of a central hub, which is where Astro Orbiter is. But because there is so much in one area, I think it can feel a little bit overwhelming. Like even Astro Orbiter is right on top of the People Mover, and so sometimes people get confused with which line is which.
Yeah.
The pathway up to Tron is like up in the back and to the side a little bit, so people sometimes don't always know the navigation up to there. So it's not super challenging, but I think it's not as like simple and straightforward as Main Street is, where you can only go one way. Yeah. In terms of terrain, it's very flat. There is a ramp up to get to Tron, but it's not too steep. They made it nice and long, which means it's a bit more of a trek, which I think also accounts for how long that line can get. But it also means that it's not a super steep incline for those of us using mobility devices.
Yep. Sun exposure. We think that this is the area of the park where you can find the most shade because there's so much happening above in the sky. You can find kind of areas to hide out in some shade. So that's good. Crowd flow is busy definitely in this area, but because there's a bit more space and there's so many kind of different pathways, it doesn't ever feel super squishy. Yeah. Which is nice.
Yeah. Companion restrooms. These are my two favorite companion restrooms in all of Magic Kingdom.
Love.
So there's one to the right of Space Mountain behind the stage, and then there's one at the top of the ramp to Tron Light Cycle Run. They're both very big, very spacious, easy to get into and easy to get out of, and I just like them a lot. They're easy for me to maneuver around in my wheelchair.
True. And also, near the Space Mountain restrooms is a service animal relief area. In terms of quiet spaces, there are 3 that Disney has outlined in Tomorrowland.
And I'll say I mentioned that I have 3 favorite areas for quiet spaces. This is my 3rd.
Tell us about it.
Well, I sort of combine all of these into one. Oh. They're not all the same, but this, I just think of Tomorrowland in general as having quiet space. So the pathway near Tron Light Cycle Run leading towards Fantasyland is lovely. It has some benches available, usually quite quiet. The area between Space Mountain and the Rocket Tower Plaza stage, and then the area near the Carousel of Progress, those all tend to be quite quiet. So I have found lots of great spaces to take a little break there. So that's my 3rd sort of favorite. I'm just lumping all of those into one category, but yeah.
All right. Shopping, we have 3 stores in Tomorrowland. The first is Tomorrowland Launch Depot, which is the exit store for Space Mountain. However, it's one of the most spacious exit stores in all of Disney World. There's a lot of Tomorrowland-esque merch. So think Space Mountain, of course. You have all your Tron merch there as well. There's some other Star Wars, Marvel merch. Yeah. And there's mobile checkout available, which is great.
We have Store Command. That's so funny. I never knew that was the name of that.
I know.
This is the exit store for Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, which has Toy Story themed souvenirs and accessories. And then finally we have Star Traders, which is one of our favorite stores.
It's a great store.
It says just everything. So general Disney merch. And it does have mobile checkout available.
Great store. All right, let's talk about food now. So starting with Energy Bites. This is a kiosk at the bottom of the ramp that leads up to Tron Light Cycle Run. It is a future-themed snacks and drinks. So fun. No allergy-friendly menu. Next up, we have Cosmic Rays Starlight Cafe. This is a very popular quick service option. It has so much seating, both indoors and outdoors. The outdoor seating is nice and covered, which is great.
We have definitely hidden there during rainstorms.
Absolutely. This has your standard theme park fare. So think burgers, chicken strips, French fries. It's not incredible food, but it gets the job done, and it usually pleases the whole family. They do have mobile order available, and there is an allergy-friendly menu. And next up, we have Anti-Gravity's Galactic Goodies. So cute. Here's where you can get your soft serve. So any desserts, sundaes, floats, and drinks. No allergy-friendly menu.
Also in Tomorrowland, we have the only Joffrey's in Magic Kingdom. There is no allergy-friendly menu, but you can customize your drinks. We have the Lunching Pad, which is a quick service option with hot dogs, pretzels, chips, and frozen beverages. There is mobile order available, but there is no allergy-friendly menu. And then finally, we have the Tomorrowland Terrace Restaurant, which is currently only open for fireworks, desserts, parties. Quick service dining is temporarily unavailable and has been for a while.
A long time. I think since COVID.
Yeah, so they closed that down a while back and haven't reopened it. And I've
seen
they use that location sometimes as like a filming location for stuff. Like Kylie Kelsey filmed her podcast from that terrace.
Interesting.
It has treats inspired by each land in the Magic Kingdom.
This is so cool.
No allergy-friendly menu.
Yeah, but the menu is kind of fun.
Yeah, but I imagine it's expensive.
It's expensive, of course.
For the fireworks.
Moving on to attractions, let's start off with Tron Light Cycle Run. So, mobility-wise, you must transfer from your ECV to your standard wheelchair to enter the ride building, and then you do have to transfer onto the ride vehicle. However, they do have a test vehicle outside that you can try to see if it is an accessible ride vehicle for you, and there's also a transfer access vehicle available. So, this ride, you are on like a light cycle. It's like a motorcycle type. So you're like leaning. It's very unique. However, several of the ride trains have at the back, there's a couple of standard like traditional seats.
For like roller coaster seats.
With a lap bar. So if the bike is not accessible for you, you have that as an option, which is really awesome.
Use the bike if you're worried about it. Like the first time we rode, I was worried about it because I have really bad back pain and I was worried about the restraint being on my back. So we rode in the like adapted version.
It's a great experience.
The second time I was like, okay, I'm going to try it. Now that I know what the ride is like, I'll try it out. And I haven't found the back restraint to be difficult for me. But I do really love that they have that option available.
Absolutely. The queue is mostly outdoors with limited shade, and you're often on that ramp and twisting around, so that's tricky. Once you get into the ride building, you have to store all of your loose items in a locker, so that can be a bit, that area gets very crowded as people put their stuff into their lockers.
People are also so excited to get onto the ride that they're like cutting in front of you a lot.
Yeah, totally.
Which I understand, but you just have to be careful, especially if you're like me and you're in a wheelchair, because I'm smaller than a lot of people. So
Sensory-wise, this is a very high thrill ride. A lot of it is indoors in the dark. It goes very fast. There's flashing lights, loud music, crashing sounds, etc. And there's video captioning on the pre-show video available, as well as audio description compatibility, which is interesting.
I know, I'm like, I wonder how that works if you're on it.
I don't really know.
You go quite fast.
Yeah, what they're describing. Anyways,
speaking of speed, we have the Tomorrowland Speedway.
You're not going that fast.
You're not going very fast. This is where you get to drive a little car around, of course. I think it's mostly designed for kids. And like when I was a kid, it was really exciting because you're like, oh my God, I get to drive a car.
And you can get a little like driver's license.
Yeah. So you do have to transfer from a mobility device, and there is a transfer access device available. The queue is outdoors with limited shade. In terms of sensory, it is heavily scented because it smells a lot like gas. The cars can be loud and jerky, and people may bump into you with their cars. So
that's not the intention. This isn't bumper cars.
Correct. But sensory-wise, I do think it can be a little bit much, but it is fun for especially a lot of kids, I think. We haven't done this one. We've done
Autopia in
Disneyland. Yeah.
But it's the same.
Same idea, yeah.
All right, next up is Space Mountain.
Classic.
You must transfer from your ECV to a standard wheelchair to enter the ride building and join the queue. And then you have to transfer into the ride vehicle, which is a rocket. And it's very, very low to the ground. And even as someone who's not in a mobility device, I find this extremely challenging to get into this ride vehicle.
I find it harder to get out.
Yeah, you're right. You can get in because you kind of come like gravity.
But getting out, I'm like, ooh.
Awkward, yeah. The
so
queue
awkward.
is indoors, which is great. It's dark and it's long, and there are a lot of ramps, and the lines are quite narrow, especially if you're in a mobility device. It can be a bit squishy, so keep that in mind. Sensory-wise, this is like a painful ride.
Did you mention that, wheelchairs cannot fit through the standby line?
Yes.
So if you are in a wheelchair or using some other sort of mobility device, they will give you a return time to come back and go through the lightning lane.
Amazing. Thank you. Sensory-wise, I said it's painful. What I really mean is that it's a very jerky ride. It's dark, nearly completely dark. There's loud music. There's loud sounds. You'll see flashing lights at the beginning and end. So pretty high sensory vibes.
Next up, we have Astro Orbiter. You must transfer from a mobility device. And there is an elevator to get up to the entrance. You just need to see a cast member to get access to the elevator. The queue is quite compact on the upper level, so I think it can be a little squishy and tight. We've never actually ridden it, so I don't quite know what the whole situation is like up there, but it is a fast spinning ride. Again, you control the elevation, but because you're already going up a level to get onto the ride, you are automatically going to be high up. So even if you're keeping your rocket low as it can be, you're still up fairly high. So you can get quite high up. Yeah.
All right, next up is Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover. Mobility-wise, you must be ambulatory. There is a steep moving walkway from the ground level to the second level where you board. So what that means is that you need to leave your mobility device at the bottom of that walkway. The queue is outdoors with very little shade on that ground level. However, it tends to move pretty quickly and is not super long. Sensory-wise, it does go in and out of buildings, therefore in and out of darkness and light. And the area where you go through Space Mountain can be a bit loud because you can hear the music and the screaming and all that from Space Mountain.
However, so nice.
So nice. People Mover is great. There are moments of this that are very, very low sensory, very refreshing, good times.
Yeah.
The People Mover is handheld captioning and audio description device compatible.
Cute. We have Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress. Ooh. In terms of mobility, you can remain in your wheelchair or ECV. The queue is a waiting room with limited seating. In terms of sensory, something to be aware of is once you are in, you can't leave until the show is over because the whole room rotates, which means you don't come back around to the exit for a whole 21 minutes of the show.
21 minutes.
It also, we've only done it once, and we did it before they refurbed all of the seats in there, but it had a distinct moldy smell just because it's kind of old.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it still has that, but just to be aware of. And it is compatible with assistive listening, handheld captioning, and audio description devices, and has video captioning. I don't remember what part of this is. Is there an intro video maybe?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what that means.
And so that has captions, I suppose.
Yeah. Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin is our next attraction, which just is amazing. It just reopened. Yay. Love it all. Mobility-wise, you must transfer from an ACV to a standard wheelchair, but there is actually a wheelchair-accessible ride vehicle, which is amazing.
Super fun.
Yeah, sorry. Do keep in mind that if you are transferring onto the ride vehicle, it is a moving walkway, but again, this can be stopped or slowed down if you would like. Just to keep a note, the queue itself is not wheelchair accessible, so there's a separate wheelchair entrance around the back of the building, so you can head straight there if you have a return time, which you would have to check in at the front, or if you have a disability access service return time as well. The queue is a mix of outdoors and indoors. Right now, there's a lot of it outdoor because a lot of people are waiting. Yeah, a lot of interest.
Because it just reopened.
Sensory-wise, we have a lot of flashing lights and loud sounds. The little laser things flash when you shoot them. Laser blasters, thank you. Astro Blaster, even. The ride vehicles can spin.
This is not Astro Blasters. That's what it's called in Disneyland.
So confusing. The ride vehicles you control, but they can turn and spin. However, I will say sometimes it kind of just goes on its own.
There are some moments where it takes over and turns you, but for the most part, you have control over
it. And it is handheld captioning and audio description device compatible.
However, I can't understand, like, having to hold up a captioning device and then also, like, do the blaster seems, I don't know how you would do that. That seems like a lot of work.
Yes, I will say that it's not integral, the auditory components of this ride.
And finally, the last attraction we have is Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor. In terms of mobility, this is a show, so you can remain in your wheelchair or ECV. There is accessible seating. There isn't really a queue. It's more of a waiting room. Again, limited seating within there. It can be an interactive show. They do select audience members to participate, and they're just sort of chosen at random, so could be you. I suppose if
it's only about like 3 out of a couple hundred people who get chosen.
And it is assistive listening device compatible, has video captioning for the pre-show videos, and there is ASL available on Mondays and Thursdays.
Amazing. Okay, my friends, we did it. Incredible. Let's talk about our overall accessibility ratings. So, starting with mobility access.
We gave it a 4 out of 5 Mickeys.
That's good.
I think just because there are so many rides at this park in comparison to the other parks that you can access in your mobility device, which I really appreciate. That doesn't mean that everything is perfect, and I still think that there are a lot of improvements that can be made, but I'm just trying to think about it in the grand scheme of things in comparison to the other 3 parks. I do think that it has a lot of options available.
True. Sensory-wise, we gave it 2.5 out of 5 Mickeys. We think that this park can be very high sensory vibes. It's
a lot going on.
There's a lot of music and lights and people. So it is more overwhelming than the other parks. However, hopefully we've been able to point out some of the quieter areas where you can take a break because there are some great spots.
Absolutely. In terms of blind and low vision, we gave 3 out of 5 Mickeys. Again, this is a number that we calculate mathematically based on how many experiences have that audio description device capability available.
Or if they're completely auditory based.
Or if they're an auditory experience. That doesn't necessarily mean that we think all of the park is super accessible for the blind and low vision community, because I think that there are other things to think about, like terrain, crowd flow, et cetera, et cetera. But overall, 3 out of 5.
Yeah. And for deaf and hard of hearing access, we gave this a 2 out of 5 Mickeys. Based on the math, it actually scores lower than a 2. It's more like between a 1 and a 1.5. However, we bumped it up a bit because there are a lot of experiences that can be
very
enjoyed visually, exactly. But in terms of like the ASL schedule is so confusing. Don't understand why they don't have it at Happily Ever After. And It's not great, to be honest. I will say one thing that I did note is that the assistive listening device compatibility was very clear for this park, which is interesting because it hasn't been for other parks.
Yeah.
Everything was very clear, which is good. That's good. But it seems there's some... it's weird.
I just think this is an area in general where Disney World is missing out. I think that there's a lot more that they could do for the deaf and hard of hearing community. And I hope that they continue to build upon that accessibility.
Absolutely. All right, our question of the week is similar. What is one accessibility tip that you wish you knew before going to Magic Kingdom for the first time?
You have to get to the accessible viewing area for the fireworks many hours in advance. It is unfortunate. It sucks that you have to give up so much of your time while everyone else gets to just wander over 30 minutes before. But we made the mistake the very first time we went of not getting there early enough. And by the time we got to the accessible viewing area, which was still about an hour before the fireworks started, it was full. And then I really didn't get to see Happily Ever After the first time we went. So we now get there, as we said earlier in the episode, 2 to 3 hours before to ensure that we get a good spot. I do think, again, that there are ways that they can make this better, but for now, that is how we deal with it. And it is something that I recommend to people who are going for the first time who are also on mobility devices that you won't be able to see if you don't go really early. So that's something I wish I had known, because then we could have planned for it accordingly.
Totally. For me, one thing that I wish I knew is about the monorail exiting the park. So at the end of your night after the fireworks, you go through chaotic Main Street, and then you get out and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to wait in this extremely long queue. And then there's a ramp up, and then there's going to be a lot of stop and starting, and then you have to deal with your brakes. Thankfully, they've come up with a pretty good system. You still have to do all of the flat queuing for the monorail, but right at the base of the ramp, they are going to pull you out of the queue if you're in a wheelchair or a mobility device and take you to the other side of the platform. This is only for the express monorail and only after fireworks are at park close. They pull you out and they take you to a separate area where they actually save a third to a half of every monorail specifically for mobility devices, so that you have an easier, way less overwhelming time getting on, much safer getting onto the monorail. And I like that. That's
also partly why I prefer taking the monorail over the ferry. I know people have their preferences, which is great, but the ferry, when we have taken it, does not pull mobility devices out. I just have to go on with everyone else. And I find that very overwhelming and I can't move and I can't see anything because I just have people all around me. Whereas in the monorail, for the most part, when I get into the car, yes, other people come in, but they're usually seated. And so I'm not sort of shoved in there. So I think it's a great tip. Well, that's this episode.
We did it.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please check out our other videos and vlogs of our Disney trips. As I said, we just vlogged all of our trip that we took, but we are finishing up posting all of our September videos. Then we're going to be posting December videos, and then
Christmas in July.
And then we'll be posting all the videos from this trip. And please follow us on TikTok and Instagram at access.the.magic. We have been posting so much over there recently. Some really fun things. And like I said, we're about to do a deep dive on all those quiet spaces, including we have videos of all the spaces we took, so you can see for yourself how quiet it is or how busy it is and what we think about it.
Yeah. Also, please give us a nice 5-star rating if you liked our podcast today. Leave us a little review and make sure you send us your questions on TikTok, on Instagram. Give us some topic suggestions or give us a question of the week for a future episode.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back in 2 weeks.
See you then. Bye.